Okay, we're rolling.
All right, this is an interview at the New York State Military Museum, Saratoga Springs, New York. It is the 29th of August, 2003, approximately 10:30 a.m. The interviewers are Mike Russert and Wayne Clark. Could you give us your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
I'm Maynard L. Farren. I was born in Lewiston, Maine on February 18, 1926.
Do you recall, well, first of all, what was your educational background prior to entering service?
High school. I graduated from Edwardsville High School in Auburn, Maine in 1943, and I entered Maine Maritime Academy that fall in September and graduated from Maine Maritime Academy in June of 1945.
Okay. Do you recall where you were and your reaction when you heard about Pearl Harbor?
Yes, I was quite young, and I can remember it was Sunday, and I heard it, and I couldn't believe it. And one of my next door neighbors, his name was Vazini, or I guess it was, and he shortly left for the Army.
Okay. Now you mentioned you went to the Maine
Maritime Academy.
What was this? Was that a government facility, or was it private?
No, it was a state of Maine academy, and I graduated, I think, either in the second or third graduating class. It was brand new, and it was started up as a result of the war.
Mm-hmm. What were some of the classes that you had there?
We had, because I was a deck officer training, and we had navigation, ship handling, cargo management, and those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. Where was it located?
Castine, Maine, way up on the coast of Maine.
Okay. Those that were your instructors, were they with the maritime service?
No, they were all Navy personnel. We had an Admiral Dismuth was the superintendent. He would happen to be a retired admiral, very nice fellow, and he and his wife lived on the campus.
Mm-hmm.
But all the others were, active Navy officers, anywhere from lieutenants to commanders.
Mm-hmm. When you graduated, what were you assigned to a ship, or?
Yeah, upon graduation, we were commissioned an ensign in the Navy and an ensign in the Maritime Service with a second mate's license. And upon graduation, you could choose either to go into the Navy or go into the Maritime Service. And since I went to a Maritime Academy, I thought it appropriate to go to the Maritime Service. There are others that also went into the Navy. I can remember the first assignment I had was a tanker, and I think it left from someplace on the coast of Rhode Island, and we went to South America and Texas and back and forth with oil cargoes.
Mm-hmm. Well, did you go on a single ship, or were you have any kind of convoy escort?
Single ship. Mm-hmm. I can remember, because when I graduated from the academy, I was only 19, and that was too young to get a commission, so they had to have a special waiver for me to be commissioned. And so I was obviously very young, and I can remember on the first ship that when we sailed from Rhode Island, we dropped the pilot off, and it happened to be my time of watch, and so the captain said, "Oh, Mr. Farren, you have the con," and he went below. And here I am with the command of the ship for the first time in my life, and only 19 years old. And it happened to be going down a small river to the ocean. It was filled with sailboats, and the sailboats were going all over the place, because the rules of the road said that the sailboats have the right of way. And there what am I going to do? I was beside myself. And finally I decided, well, I'm bigger than they are, and they'll have to watch out for me, and I sailed along.
Okay. So how long were you on that tanker?
I was probably on the tanker maybe a year, perhaps. And then I came back, and I guess maybe I took some vacation and got reassigned.
What was your assignment?
Well, I came across, my wife came across this little diary, and I will read a couple of days that
Sure.
it was on a ship headed for Naples, Italy.
Mhm.
And let me just read.
What kind of ship was it?
I believe it was a Liberty ship. And this was in 1946, and I only kept a few days.
Were you still, were you involved with bringing troops back to
No.
the States?
I was on a troop ship once, and, well, actually, it was not a troop ship, but we were going to bring a load of war brides back, but I didn't. I had to terminate that before we even sailed, and I went to another ship. But anyway, on February 16th, and this is 1946, we were crossing the Atlantic on the way to Naples, Italy. It has been overcast all day, but tonight it is trying to clear up. The sea is pretty rough, though we are shipping a lot of water over the bow. Got a radio message from a ship a few miles ahead of us saying that one of their men was washed overboard and for all ships to keep a lookout for them. With this weather and this cold, I imagine they never survived. And then, you know, the next day, which is February 17th, I said, it is still overcast today. I guess it will never going to clear up. The sea is very rough. Got another message from a ship saying they had lost a man over the side. This one was too far astern of us, so we didn't even bother to look. So that's the kind of weather that we had, and it was, you know, pretty desperate. And then on March 30th, it had been overcast all day with rain squalls. Tonight it is raining very hard and the wind is blowing a gale. The sea is very rough. This old ship is getting tossed around plenty. We are rolling on as high as 43 degrees. I'm hanging on with one hand and trying to write with the other.
Usually when someone went overboard, were they usually lost?
Oh,
Was there ever much of a chance
This was
to-
like in the North Atlantic in the late winter, and there was no chance. I mean, the water extremely cold, and you'd only last for probably a few seconds, actually. So, and because at nighttime and with the heavy seas, it's impossible to see, you know, a little head bobbing up. So
Did the men usually wear life vests or jackets or anything, or?
usually not, because you don't expect to be washed over the side. I mean, a day or two later, after I was telling you about, and during the night, the seas were so heavy that lifeboats were washed away, and we had a lot of oil drums tied down to the deck, and they were washed away, so it was extremely bad weather and very cold. In fact, the all-weather coat that I donated to the museum was when I really came in handy using that, because it was warm and waterproof.
Okay, continue if you... when you went to Naples, then did you have things that you were dropping off, or you were picking
Yeah,
up?
we were taking, at that time they had a United Nations relief cargo, and we were taking a lot of medicine and food supplies to the Italian people in Naples.
Now, you mentioned when we were talking earlier about seeing mines in the water. When was that?
That was about the same time, you know, a little later. We were entered the Mediterranean after passing by the Rock of Gibraltar.
So in 1946, there were
There were still mines
floating
floating around, yeah.
Okay. What did you do when you encountered a mine? Steer clear, or try to shoot it?
Well, as I was telling you, the first time I saw one, I didn't know what it was. It was quite a ways away. You had it with your glasses, and I figured it might have been whatever, you know, so we decided to investigate. And after we got close enough, we got identified it as a mine, and then we stayed clear, very clear.
Now, did these ships, like the tanker or the Liberty ship, did you have any kind of armaments on?
We did, but at that point in time, the war was winding down, so we didn't have any Navy crews, gun crews.
How about the tanker, for example? What kind of armaments would a tanker have carried?
Well, I think they were probably like 50 caliber machine guns and 20 millimeter cannons. But
Now you had a Navy crew on board that would take care
not
of
at
the
that time. It was just a merchant crew. But we used to go down to Venezuela and get oil, and the oil tanks, it was gravity feed. The oil tanks was high on a mountain, and the oil tanks were much lower at sea level. And so you would only be in for a couple of days and you'd fill up one of these huge tankers because the oil flowed in so fast. And at that time you had to balance your ship with the oil coming in, and you had to, I think they call them ullage holes, and you'd peer down with a flashlight, and you'd have a sailor on a valve, and then you'd tell the sailor to close down on the valve, and then you'd run to the other side of the ship and have him close down a little bit there, and you keep moving around the ship with these various tanks so that you wouldn't overload the ship on any one side. You had to balance it perfectly.
Okay. Did you, on these ships, as being in the maritime service, what did you wear? Naval uniforms, or did you have a uniform that was similar to the Navy?
It was very similar to the Navy. I was a lieutenant, and you had the stripes and the Navy jacket, and Navy, the blue dress uniforms, and the hat. The only thing on the hat, the emblem on the hat was a little different than the Navy, but basically the same thing.
Okay. Were you awarded medals like the Navy would have been for your service?
Yeah. I got the Atlantic War Zone Medal.
Okay. Do you have any other incidences or experiences you want to relate?
Let me see. No, I think that's pretty much the highlights.
Okay. When were you discharged?
Well, I think it was probably, I served probably 3 years, so it'd be 48, maybe 49.
Okay. When you were discharged, did you make any use of the GI Bill after being discharged?
Well, at that time, the maritime service wasn't considered a veteran.
Oh, so you...
So we didn't get any of the, like, I think they call them 5220 clubs.
Yes,
something
I was
like
going to ask
that.
you about
Yeah,
that.
so I wasn't available for that.
Oh, okay.
Now, were you paid by the government or by the company you were?
We were paid by the shipping company that we were working at. So the maritime service wasn't considered a veteran until the Reagan administration. So now I'm a full-time veteran, but at the time I wasn't.
Okay. Did you, then, you weren't able to join veterans organizations?
Not
at
at that
all
time,
until
not until Reagan passed the...
administration? Okay. Have you joined any veterans organizations?
No, I have not.
Do you have any kind of reunions, or did you keep in contact with anyone you served with?
Yes, I still see one of my roommates frequently, and he still lives in Maine. We've been to reunions at the academy.
Okay, that was another question. If you had, is the academy still in existence?
Oh yeah, now it's a 4-year college. They have a master's degree program, and it's
What is its name still?
still Maine Maritime Academy.
Okay.
Actually, we were up there, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and it's really expanded. The town, though, is a very beautiful little seaport town in Maine, and that, I don't think that'll ever change. It's still lovely and picturesque.
Did you, how do you think your time in the service affected or changed your life, or had an effect on your life?
Well, I think it gave me just a sense of responsibility early in life, and an experience that I'll always cherish. Sometimes I wish I had gone into the Navy directly from the Maritime Academy, and sometimes I'm happy I did what I did because I saw quite a lot of the world, South America, Europe, Africa. So those were very exciting and memorable experiences.
Mhm. Okay, could you hold these photographs up and tell us about each one of them, please?
This picture is, I think, my graduation picture from Maine Maritime Academy as a midshipman.
And what year was that?
That was 1945, June of 1945.
Okay.
This picture is while I was at Maine Maritime Academy. We used to have 3 small sailing ships that we used to go out frequently, and this is taken on one of those as a midshipman.
Okay.
This is one of the ships I sailed on, and I'm not sure if it's the one I talked to you about in the rough seas or not, but it appears to be. If it was the SS Alexander Shepard.
Okay. Do you know whatever happened to the ship?
Have no idea.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your interview.
Well, thank you very
Thank you.
much for having
Okay.
me.